let's get right into it. Today I wanted to talk about my favorite drawings that I've done over the years. We're going to start at the beginning, which actually, this one is from 6 or 7 years ago, which is crazy. If you don't know, this is Batman, and he took me like an hour to complete, and I used regular mechanical pencil. When I was first really invested in drawing, I used just a mechanical pencil, which is kind of goofy and kind of silly, but I liked it and it got the job done. So I used mechanical pencil for the entire drawing initially, and then I went over Batman, and I was probably just too lazy to draw the rest of him, so I just wrote out his name, and I used I want to say a fine tip Sharpie, but like I said, I really should date my drawings. I do not. I should. So yes, this one is the first one I'm going to show you. It's from 6 to 10 years ago. Okay, so that's just all. And now, on to the next. One of my favorites was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I don't think I remember their names anymore. Let's see. I remember he was my favorite. I believe that's Raphael. Mikey. Then there's Leonardo and Donatello. I'm pretty sure this is Leo and Donatello. Look at me. I wasn't used to doing full body drawings of anything at this time. Even the Batman before was more than I was used to doing drawing wise, especially with real muscles. Pectorals were hard, like a human. They're in the shapes of humans. Thumb here and the hands. Very different than what I was used to drawing. And like I said, for this again, I'm sure I just used a mechanical pencil. And that is that one. Let's see what the next one I noted. Oh, this one. This one I am still very proud of because it is a completely different art style than I'm used to drawing. Well, I was at the time at least. I drew this, I believe, 4 years ago in 2016, and it was my first attempt at realism. And so there's little smudges and creases in the paper now. But in most of my pictures, all of the ones I've shown you this far, I used a reference. I did still use a reference, but I never attempted realism. And this eye alone took me about 3 hours, and it's been quite some time. So the graphite has worn off a little bit and smudged. And I occasionally go back in with an eraser to kind of clean these up, but I haven't looked at this in so long. And I used mechanical pencil. Surprise, surprise. Oh, okay. I did put a tab on this picture, and it's ridiculous. And it's not finished. Most of my drawings are unfinished, unfortunately. But, oh well. Here. Look at that. If that's not SpongeBob, I don't know what is. This, I think I might have used a regular, I'm pretty sure I used a regular HB pencil for this. If not, then you can guess what I'm going to say that I used. Alright, on to the next. I'm kind of rushing through these first initial ones because they were so long ago I don't really remember enough information to give you a very good insight as to how I went about creating them. This one is newer. All of the ones that I'm going to be showing you from here on out in this video are within the last year. So this one I did last year, and it was again another attempt at realism. I am filming this on an iPhone, and I'm using the front-facing camera, so I'm not sure if it will flip and look different. You know how sometimes when you mirror an image, it just doesn't look as good? Well, hopefully that's not the case. This one I still used, believe it or not, a mechanical pencil. And I used a reference drawing for this too, or a reference image. And the reference image that I used for this was also a drawing. So Don't come at me if you've seen it before. You might have. This one took me a few days to complete because I didn't have the patience to finish it in one sitting, and because I started it around 1 in the morning. But the detail in like this area, her pants over here and all the creases and her shorts, and also up here, the detail of getting her body dimensions but making it look like they're underneath clothing was also kind of difficult, as well as getting the Nike symbol in there, adding the dimensions behind and everything like that was difficult. I'm not too pleased with how her face or her mouth turned out. I've never been very good at doing facial features, so that's something that in a little bit here you'll see I tried to improve. You can be the judge of that though, whether or not I did. So, here we have my first attempt at watercolors. Yay! My favorite. Silhouette, and I used a reference picture, but I did change it. I find that I do that with a lot of my drawings or paintings. I use a reference picture, but I get started on the reference picture and I decide to change it and make my own twist on things, take my own twist on it, and that's exactly what I did. For this one, I wanted to use this to practice with dimension and shading using watercolors. So as you can see, the tears, those were something I added later on. The shading on her eyelid too, that was kind of difficult, but it didn't take too long to complete this drawing, this painting, believe it or not. I want to say like 30, 45 minutes to an hour. I usually just sketch things out with a pencil, and once I have like a brief idea as to how I want things to go, or I have like a nice foundation and the frame done, then it's easier to kind of fill in all the blanks. This is an interesting one, but not one that I had. Oh wow. Wow, that's all of them. Okay. Oh, that's not all of them. I lied. This one, I used like 4 or 5 different tools, which for me is a lot because, as you've heard, I use mostly mechanical pencil. And this time I used lots of different things. I started out with a regular pencil. As you can see, it still isn't the teeth. Colored pencil as the base. I went over everything with colored pencil. I used black colored pencil in all the areas where there's shading initially, and then I'd gone over everything and kind of fine-tuned everything and made the edges of the lips a little more prominent with a marker. I can't tell you what kind of marker it was. It was probably just like Crayola, and then I just had gone over it multiple times until I was happy with the result. Colored pencil for the gums. This is all colored pencil for the gums and regular pencil for the teeth. I did go in with, again, just I probably used a few different kinds of markers, all in the shade red. I didn't use any black markers at all. All the shading I did underneath the marker, because I think the marker over top the colored pencil allowed for a softer transition from highlight to low light and less of a contrast, which usually contrast is good. Still love my contrast, very prominent highlights and very dark shadows, but for this, it almost looks like there's a filter. It reminds me of the Rolling Stones cover. So that is all I wanted to show you for the drawings. I also wanted to show you my most recent work of art that I've done, whether it is pencil, colored pencil, mechanical pencil, acrylic paints, watercolor, and it happened to be oil paints. And when I say recent, she's still wet. This thing is still very wet, and I'm going to try to not get it on my hands. I still have to paint the edges. I want to do that after the whole thing is dry. This is my turtle, and for this painting I used obviously oil paints, as I already mentioned. Also, my reference picture was an actual photograph of a turtle. So I'm very proud of myself for being able to adapt it into a painting. And I also changed the background. I like to try and take all of the reference pictures that I use and turn it into my own thing and not copy it 100%. I did when I was younger, so some of these are exact replicas of someone else's work or of another picture. Solely because I was very new. No, I've always been interested in art ever since I was like walking. I've been very invested. I'm just rambling now, so I'm gonna wrap this up. Thank you guys for watching my video. This is my first YouTube channel ever, and hopefully not the last. Ha. And hopefully I get more comfortable with this whole thing, but we'll see about that. So, adios, everyone.